Let's see this time. Okay, so it says I'm live. As you can see, I've been having issues this morning. Having issues and don't exactly know why. Um, I came in here singing, because that's the way. That's the way. Huh. I like it. Uh huh. Uh huh. That's the way. Yes, it's the way I like it. And but this, okay, it says I am. I'm not exactly sure about that window. So let me see. I'm not sure about you and where you came from. Let's close you out and let's open you up. Okay, and if I get my old trusty phone out, maybe I will be able to see a little bit better at exactly what's going on. Because I can't tell you guys, this has been, I won't say try to make it sound like it's been a long time, but 10 minutes or so now that I have, I was up, then I'm down, and still trying to get this working out. So, let's see what happens now. It looks like I'm live. Looks like I'm live. We'll see how this works out and go from there. So good morning. What is that warning sign? What is going on today? What is going on today? Let's see. Okay, that's coming from that is coming from YouTube that is warning me about something. I'm not exactly sure of what's going on. And I guess I could start tweaking and playing around with the settings on here, but that might really mess me up. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. All right, so anyway, I'm just going to talk because I can. And as I start to, as I start to talk, maybe I will get a thing that says, the system is good. I'm not sure, but we'll see what it does. And yeah, so good morning to you. And I don't see any way of telling what the what is. Anyway, it's really interesting. I don't know if you find it interesting or not, but I have been listening to, I love to do these workshops that are based around issues that I'm interested in. And since COVID, they have had all of these, they do these things on a regular basis, whether it is talking about mental health issues or talking about, various different things. They even have yoga summits, and they call them summits now. And what it is that they will interview groups of people. I just went to the African Wisdom Summit. I was part of that. And what they do is they give you 48 hours to watch material, whatever kind of interviews it is. They give you 48 hours to watch it for free. And then after that, you have to pay to watch. And so, I'm me and I don't have that kind of money. I am trying to watch things within the time allowed it. And on the particular one that I'm watching now, it's 24 hours. And so it's really like if they make it available at 7 o'clock this morning, by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, it's done. You can't have any more access to it. And I find these summits very interesting. However, what it does is it sucks the time out of your day. Not that I'm sitting still listening, but if my mind is occupied with listening, even if I'm doing something else, I've got to do something that doesn't require me to be mentally engaged. And so I'll listen while I'm washing dishes, or I'll listen while I'm cooking, or I'm listening while I'm doing something that doesn't cause me to need to be on. But I can't listen and work on my book. I can't listen and, talk to somebody else or do anything that requires mental activity, because you want to be present in it. You want to hear and figure out how this fits in. It causes me sometimes to think about, you know, even my own trauma experience. And then because I'm an active listener, sometimes I'm hitting pause because I need to sit with an idea for a while. So I've been on that for the last few days, and it's just like, oh, it's a lot. But it's real good, and it helps me to understand some things, as well as to see how different people approach things, and to have thoughts around it, to have thoughts about it. And it's really interesting because, even as I talk to friends of mine, after the fact, I get to be so much more aware even of this, how this medium here gives this feeling for me of relationship and community, even if I am not in community per se at the moment. So this idea that I can talk to you over this type of thing makes me feel seen and heard, which is very important. I talk about the importance of relationship and community, and this feeling of belonging that people have. And so, for me, it is like I am sitting and in this thing, and I have this feeling that even if I don't know that you're there, I don't know who's watching, I have this feeling of connectedness. I also have a feeling when I'm not reaching anybody, because there is, whether or not people believe in the woo woo, we kind of call it woo woo stuff. Whether or not you believe in it or not does not negate the fact that I do. I feel this. And so when somebody tunes in or comes in, it's like I feel a level of engagement, even if I don't see you or know that you are there. So for me, it is good morning, good morning, good morning. I think I've tried to pronounce this before, and I don't know how good I did, but good morning to you. And so I feel a level of engagement even if I don't know that you're there. I know that you're there when you type something in the window, but even when I don't know that you're there, I feel plugged in. I feel connected. And connection is so important for people. And a lot of times we have this idea that we don't need the world, or that we don't need anybody else. But truth be told, since we are, I did, okay. Okay, well, so you're scaring me, but yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Obal, Obalafa, Obalafia, Obalafia, I don't know, I don't know, whatever. Not whatever, because I think it's so important that we pronounce names right. It causes us to to be seen. In my at the end of my yoga class, my Vanita, she always says, she does this thing where we cross over our chest, and she says Sabona. And Sabona is I think it's a Swahili word that means I see you. And it's not to just see you like with my eyes, but see a deeper thing. So who was it that did the song? It is I see God in you, right? I see the spirit of you. I feel that of you. And so she says Sabona, and then we say Yebo Sabona, like I see you seeing me. And so to call a person by their name, and name has an energy, it has a meaning, it's your calling. I think that it's important that we pronounce names right. So forgive me when I mess it up. I try. As a matter of fact, whenever I see somebody with a name tag on, I try to pronounce the name. It's a way of connecting. But we are meant to be connected. It is there's something enlivening and life affirming about connection and being seen. And so I come in here, and I don't know, whether your life is full, or whether you're feeling isolated, whether you're seen or you're heard. I know that sometimes when you come in here and there is something that you hear that you were looking for, whether it was confirmation of something or whatever it is, it's like you get that ding bell that goes off to say, wow, that was exactly what I needed to hear. And so what happens is the Spirit uses the medium and so many others to tell you that you are never alone. And that it's like this, like a worm coming through the ethers that is saying, this is the word that they need to hear today, or this is what they're dealing with. So this thing of our egos telling us that we don't need anybody or anything is just that. It's the ego. And the ego wants to differentiate itself or to separate itself in a way that is false. First off, is false, especially if we allow it to work. There is something within us that wants to be in relationship, whatever that may mean. It could be relationship with friends and family. It could be relationship with a significant other. It could be any number of ways of relating. But this idea of being in relationship is so important. Yeah, the shared experience of being a person, of being a spiritual being, of being a person here on this planet at this time is really important. And to feel affirmed is important, whether we know it or not. So sometimes we get this idea. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about relationships, and she just kept telling me about, I can't. And I finally just said to her, I said, you're such a coward. It's, to sit there. Here's the thing for me. There's one thing to try to protect. We're trying to protect something that doesn't need protecting. You are invincible. You are a spiritual being and indestructible. And it might hurt, but so too does a shot. And yet we go through the process anyway. It's like, okay, let me feel, ouch. I'll feel the pain because it doesn't last always. And so I know that for some people, this will be like, oh my God, how can she say that? But if you recognize that our relationships are there to grow us, not to, be roadkill on the side of the road, that's not what it's all about. It is about, let's get in here and let me work through, hash through what I need to go through so that I can grow through it. So even like I was talking before, it's sometimes we have a hard time communicating. It's so interesting how that works for us. We have this difficult time because we feel so emotionally vulnerable sometimes. And so it's scary to say, that, I know there's so much that's so scary to say. Scary to say, oh, this hurt, or to tell people you love them, or to say it first, or whatever, because you're wondering if you'll get it back, or to say I need you is a vulnerability that so many people don't want to display. To ask for help is, if you could imagine that is a strength rather than a weakness, it would cause you to see things hopefully differently in your life. So there are so many things that we have been taught to not get into. We've been taught to not do. But the truth of the matter is it's part of who we are. It's part of our makeup to be in relationship with other people. And so many folks, whether you live alone or whether you are in a relationship, whether you are in one and don't feel seen, heard, valued, any of those things, whatever the case may be, any of those things could be at play. But when you know them and you know that it's there, it's like, how do I then get beyond that? How do I get beyond the feeling of aloneness, isolation, of all of that? What part do I play in it? So here's the thing. If this is an issue for you, sometimes we can be in families and never feel understood or seen. Like we've been in families and nobody in the family acknowledges our dream or our desire, thinks that it's valuable or valid. I remember my dad used to always say, whatever it was, and go get a job, or, why don't you get married? Or, I thought blah, blah, blah about whatever it was. It would be like he would just rag the heck out of me about things that I had talked about and said and shared, whatever the case may be. I get that kind of thing like, oh, that's just, oh, that's just saying, oh, that's just, and it's almost like this disregard, as if what you desire is not important enough to deserve respect. But let somebody get a 20-year badge or be able to retire from a job that has sucked the life out of them and made them miserable. That is almost like a pat on the back. Wonder if you figured out that is this life of misery that people, pat you on the back for, is not in alignment with what you were created to be. It's not. To be a drone or a cog, a cog in somebody else's wheel is not what you signed up for. It's not what you came here for. And how do I know this? If you're not living in your bliss, if you're not living in your happiness, then you're not really living at all. You just being look, you being one of these, right? And I don't know if you can see this clearly. I love how, look, I'm gonna put my little piece of paper behind there so you can see clearly what I'm holding up. If you are not living in your joy, you are being a copper top. A copper top. That's exactly what you being, is a copper top. So you got to figure out what your joy is and begin to live in your joy, because that's one of the beautiful things that the Creator has done for you, is that sprinkled joy down the right path for you. Oh, so why can't you do what you find joy in, right? Why can't you do it? Oh, alas, there are so many reasons why you can't. Loyalty. You don't think it's important enough. You don't think that you're important enough. You think that somebody told you that you weren't meant to be happy. Somebody told you that life was meant to be a miserable drag until it ain't, right? There's so many things that we have been told about what responsibility looks like and who's being responsible and who's not. We've been given all of these ideas about what we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to do it, that does not include our own happiness and our own bliss. Get you some understanding that this is not meant to be a drag, but to be just the sweetness of life. Oh my goodness. And when you get a clue about that and you get to follow your joy, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Yes. So I am going to read, I'm going to shift and read this daily guide for you guys, and then come back to my conversation, because I can. And today is Thursday, so I get to talk to Dr. Brown today. So I get really excited about the ways in which I get to share. Today, I'm talking to him a little bit about mental health and health. So, yeah, so I'm excited about that. So let me read for you what Raymond Anderson wrote in the daily guide for today, and to talk a little bit about this and see where this goes. For today, which is Thursday, he says, "Curiosity killed the cat." That's the title of it. And the first quote that he uses comes from George Hammond. George Hammond. He says, "Curiosity may have killed the cat, but it also made her life more interesting. A simple fact is something always kills the cat. It was actually quite wise for her to do something stimulating to perform that invaluable service." I used to think to myself, this kind of a weird kind of thing, like, if you had to die, don't you want to die doing something exciting or something adventurous rather than sitting up waiting for it, right? Sitting in, I don't know, but it's always been my thing. If I had my druthers, I used used to have this thing, this little tagline at the end of my emails that said that, on the day that I die, I'm going to be sliding in under the finish line with a margarita on one hand and some kind of instrument on the other, talking about, woo, I made it just in time. And so I have always had this idea that I want, if I could think about those things, I want to be caught in the midst of living and not just sitting up waiting. So I don't know about George Hammond, but I agree with the fact that, yeah, you want to be doing something that you love. What do people talk about? Used to have those jokes about coming and going at the same time. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, that was in it. So from Ernest Holmes, the help for today, he took the quote from Help for Today. He says, "Let us so live each day that the light from our candle of spiritual knowledge will forever be clear and understood, not only by ourselves, but by all with whom we come in contact with." So that's good. That's good. All right, so here we go. This is what Reverend Raymond wrote. He says, "Ever wonder how many people in ancient times died eating various mushrooms, plants, and berries until they finally discovered the distinction between the ones that were safe and those that were not? Ever wonder how many scientists came to their demise by mixing together the wrong chemicals? This is why we still teach and live by the motto that curiosity killed the cat. Is this why? Are we somehow attempting to protect the species by avoiding the unknown?" I gotta for a second there. One of the things that was always interesting to me about It's a Wonderful Life, in that George Bailey used to work in this. You remember It's a Wonderful Life? It's a Christmas movie. George Bailey was, as a kid, working for the druggist, Mr. Gower, I think it was. And Mr. Gower was filling the prescription for somebody when he got the news that his son had been killed in the war. And George Bailey refused to deliver the prescription that really saved somebody's life, because he says that, the way that the movie goes is that Mr. Gower slapped George Bailey in the head a few times that caused him to lose hearing in one ear. And so finally George Bailey says he didn't deliver it. He says, "You put something bad in there. You put poison in there." And Mr. Gower, being the pharmacist that he is, he goes and he opens up the pills that he had just made, and he touched it and he tasted it just like that. And then he thought, oh my God, I did. And it made me wonder how often a pharmacist or a druggist, whatever it is, tests their own concoctions, their own mixtures, by doing just that. When you get a taste for something, it's distinctive, just like anything else. When you hear a voice, thank you, God. I don't know why I just got so emotional about that. When you hear a voice, you know the voice, right, is distinctive. When you see a face, our faces are distinctive. Our fingerprints are distinctive. Everything about you and I is distinctive. One day I used to drive a taxi cab. I don't know if I've ever talked about that on here or not. It seems like something I may mention every once in a blue moon, but I used to drive a taxi cab when I first started trying to go into business for myself. I had quit a job, and I wasn't making the money at my business that I thought I should. And so a couple of days out of the week, especially on the weekends, I would drive a taxi cab for whatever reason. I just drove a taxi cab, make some money, really. And so one particular day, I picked up a woman in the car, and it was a call goes out, and it gave me the address of where I was supposed to pick up this person, and she gets in the car, and though I had never met this person before, when I heard her voice, I said to her, "You sound like," and I'm just going to use an arbitrary name, "you sound like Betty Ford." And she gasped, "I am." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said to her, "I hear you on the radio." And when she started talking to me, it was because I recognized her voice, not a person. But I thought to myself, I know that voice. And a lot of times we know voices, we know cadence, we know a person's walk. We can spot a person from the way that they're walking half a mile away because we know that walk, or we know that, just a sneeze. I have been in a store and heard my sister sneeze, and I'm like, I know that sneeze. Everything about us is distinctive, and we act as if we don't know this. Our laughs are our own, and whether you're mimicking somebody else, or I know a lot of people who have mimicked or tried to make their laugh like somebody else's. But there was a point at which you get down to truth, not just mimicry, but truth. Let me finish reading this before this thing goes off. Um, so he says, are we somehow attempting to protect the species by avoiding the unknown? While this certainly may be the case, let us not forget that those same scientific discoveries gave us penicillin, revealed germs as the cause of diseases, harnessed electricity, and revealed many other life-saving inventions. While curiosity may have killed the cat, it was the same curiosity that resurrected the cat with the satisfaction of making life and the world a much better place. As humans, we tend to avoid the unknown, the mystery, the void. It is scary in many ways, chaotic, and in many ways chaotic. We prefer our routines, the comfortable and the predictable, and so we try to choose one over the other rather than living in both. We need not choose yin over yang, inhalation over exhalation, drinking over eating. Our survival depends on both. Many religions can be likened to creatures of habit, refusing to explore the mysteries of their faith. Yet there is the call of the mystic. The mystic is that curious cat willing to die only to be resurrected anew, even to die again and again, rise again and again. So the affirmation that he puts with this is today I seek, I ask, I explore. As a mystic, I dive into the mystery and am immersed in the vastness of the sea that is source. Okay, good. And so to be open, to be curious, to not just take what somebody else says as the gospel truth, but rather to explore that for yourself is, I think, just divine. And so whatever that may mean. My friend said to me that whenever I go, she says, whenever I go buck wild, or whenever I don't, take care to do something, to do it in a particular way, she was like, I always get messed up. And I said, when would that have been? Right? Because ever since I had known her, everything about her was something that she planned out. And this idea of being footloose and fancy free that she was trying to get over on me was not going. I was like, girl, get out of here. Like, when did that happen? When were you that way? Right? And sometimes it's so beautiful to have friends that can call us on our bullshit, right? Because sometimes we don't have people that are going to scream foul when we make a foul. And we need that in our lives. I mean, we need it in our lives so that, and sometimes it is just the witnessing of it. We need it in our lives so that we can really look at ourselves. I mean, sometimes for the very first time. Because sometimes the things that we think about, I had another friend who talked about, she said one time that she was out and she said that she forgot herself in the midst of laughing. She said, girl, I laughed so hard. This is what I mean by all of our stuff is distinctive, whether we're talking about, our voices, whether we're talking about our perspectives, our faces, our hairstyle. No two of us are exactly the same. Even when you have identical twins, there is something that is different about both of us. This guy that I dated, I'm digressing for a second, but I dated a guy back in college who was an identical twin. And he said to me, you got to watch out for my brother. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you know what? I have known him to be attracted to the same women I'm attracted to. And so he says, so you need to check and make sure who you with before you whatever. He said, because he might do some flim flam stuff, which I thought was really curious, So I'm supposed to look for a certain necklace around his neck before I let him in the door, because he was saying to me, he was like his brother, especially when they were, young, he said his brother would sleep with his girlfriend. He said, oh yeah, I was dating this one chick and he says, I left her house. He says, she said, 15 minutes later, I came back and knocked at the door and said, you know what? I don't have to be at work in the morning. Why don't I just stay tonight? And he says, and he did. He says, but it wasn't me. Oh my God, that's terrible. Right? Would that not be considered rape or something? If you tricked me into it? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so he gave me that warning about his identical twin. I took it to heart and thought, okay, let me, let's go through this, this whole thing. If I'm feeling in doubt or at ease, ill at ease about something. And I just thought that was interesting. So anyway, we all have distinctiveness to us, even as an identical twin. You can find different things in their nuance and in who they are. You can see differences. It's not always this nefarious type of thing. But, when I'm talking about, people in their lives, it is just really funny to me how that works. And now I forgot the point that I was making because I digressed. I went over there with the twin thing just so I could come back and talk about a different friend of mine's who was busy trying to tell me that she was a certain way at a certain point in her life and it didn't work out. And I had to say to her, that's just not the truth. You have always been this way. So, how would you know that if you were to just trust, right? If we're talking about this idea of having faith and you're busy telling me that, oh, I've taken chances before, I can literally say, no, you never take chances. You always play it safe. Everything that you consider or do has been totally mapped out by you. And so if how do we speak to and say that it doesn't work if we never tried? If you never tried following your happiness or following your bliss, how can you say that won't work? It's only through taking chances that we really develop that type of thing. So when I come on here and I say to you that this is the way that spirit works for me, that I hear things, that a feeling comes over me, or images come to me, or words or ideas pop in and out of my head just as easily and readily. It might be the same thing for you, but if you never try it, if nobody says, wow, that was just what I was, how did you know? Or whatever. If you never step out on it, how will you know that it's true? Remember the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg in it? Well, in that movie, it was so interesting because Patrick Swayze, I do believe it was saying to her, I need you to go and tell Demi Moore whatever it was that he needed to say. And so she was like, reluctant, but Whoopi Goldberg ended up doing it. She goes to him and he says to her, tell her she's in danger. And Whoopi was like, oh, don't say it like that. And then she goes back and she has to translate it into what it is that she needed, how she needed to say it, rather than saying it like she heard it. And a lot of times what we do is we try to play translator when what we need to say or what a person needs to hear is from the perspective that was given. She was like, girl, you in danger. like that's gonna make it sound better, and going through all of this stuff, and so he was trying to emphasize her, use my words, right? Because she's not gonna believe you if you're just basically telling her from the standpoint of that stuff. And so when he wanted to say, when she said to him, I love you, what she was never accustomed to, the character that was Patrick Swayze saying, I love you back, it was that he always said ditto. And it wasn't until Whoopi used his words that the woman actually was like, wow, it is you that I'm talking to. And so this is when I'm thinking about how these things are always present, like we're always receiving messages, we're always getting information, but a lot of times, we don't recognize it as such until somebody puts it into something that resonates with us in that particular way. So the resonation makes us know that spirit gave to us what it is that we were desiring, because now all of a sudden, if you didn't hear it in the nuance of what was being said, then the specifics then can be spoken to. And when you hear the specifics, that couldn't be nobody but. Right? It couldn't be anything but. And so I think that it is a beautiful, beautiful thing when we allow spirit to use us in that regard. Y'all, I am So grateful and so thankful. And here's a tripped out thing that just happened a second ago. All this morning, a friend of mine's that I went to all the way from elementary, well, we in junior high school with, just sent a text out about probably something totally different than what I was thinking about her for, but she just sent a text nonetheless. And it's just like that warm fuzzy that just comes all over your body, like yay, 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 yay. It's so amazing when there's that confirmation that comes from what it is that you're doing. So follow your bliss. What makes you happy? What do you think would make you happy? If you had to just like pick a clue out of the air, what is it that would make your heart sing? Just, I mean, a wild guess, right? And then ask yourself, why not? Like if you think life is too short, why not? And here's the beautiful thing. In the Joe Dispenza meditations that that I'm doing, one of the things that Joe Dispenza always closes with is saying that, you know, send me a sign. Send me a sign that I'm on the right track, or send me a sign that I've been heard. Send me a sign that it's on the way, that my prayer has been answered. Send me a sign that is, and it's a clear sign, that it is, you know, not one that I can bring all of this ambiguity into, right? Oh, is that, you know, we get whatever that is. Asking for a sign is not, you know, sometimes I get that some people might be scared, because then that means that you might have to make choices and decisions that you don't want to. I remember, especially in relationships, because it's so scary ending a relationship, right? And I remember thinking when I was engaged that I needed to call this engagement off, and there was everything in my power. I was just like, no, I didn't want to, because, you know, then what? What will be? What will happen to me? All of these questions were cropping up in me. And you know, I was getting migraine headaches, and I was just like, okay, what is this about? And so I had all these clues that I needed to break off this thing, that it wasn't for me. But I was just like, you know, I didn't want a sign. I did not honestly want a sign, because I did not want to do it. I felt like I was letting him down, letting my parents down. I was just letting everybody down. I just felt that in my spirit. And so I didn't want to break it off, but there was something in me that was like, girl, you better get a clue. Like, you know, this is not for you. I was distraught. I felt like I was, like between a rock and a hard place, I think. You know how they say those whole things, how long ought you between two opinions? And it wasn't other people's opinions it was a truth inside of me that was like rearing up like a flame, that I knew that I needed to do it. But I didn't want to disappoint everybody. I would rather, what was it? Like at the time, was I thinking that I would rather live my life in misery and disappoint myself than to disappoint all the, you know, all the people around me? And so you got to weigh these things. Whose happiness is more important? And I started thinking, you know what? I don't even know that I really got to the point where I said, oh, they'll get over it eventually. I don't even know that I got to that point, because the headaches that I was experiencing was so astronomical. It was, if you could think about you know, feeling the answer in your body and you're walking around in that. I couldn't imagine. Could you imagine what that would be like to sign up for that kind of pain for what? The unforeseeable future? Like, really? And so I knew I had, so when I finally broke off that engagement, it was kind of like ripping a band-aid off. I gotta just do it. I just went in there and I picked up the phone and I said, I can't do this. And he was like, do what? I said, marry you. I can't do it. And I felt that pressure just lift up off of me. Because now I was choosing me, right? And a lot of times this happens. You get the messaging on your job. You know, people will work a job that they are miserable at. Know that it's not good for them, for their health, for anything other than, of course, paying your bills. You're a copper top. You're a cog in the wheel. And you're doing it in spite of knowing that it's not good for you. The question becomes, what would it take for you to choose you? What would it take for you to choose happiness, to choose your bliss? What would it take? Right? And you know, when you start to ask yourself those questions, hopefully what it does is it puts this, you know, square in front of you in your lap and makes you make some choices about those things. I know for me it does. And if I did not feel some level of purpose in the things that I do, I tell you, I would just be miserable. But I feel purpose and I feel guided in what I do. If you are not feeling that, start asking yourself the question, yeah, life is just too short. Life is too short. And I will tell you the trade-off that, you know, the trade-off is you trading the stuff, what you think is the trappings, for the dream. Now, wonder if I told you that you will always have exactly what you need. Like, there is a promise that is made to you. You won't be able to see it or have any notion that, you know, that is real or that it works, but that's what faith is for, right? I mean, isn't that what I've been talking about? It's what the faith part is for. So yeah, you may not have a evidence based thing that'll say, you know what, if you follow your bliss or you follow your dreams, that it'll all work out. Yeah, you won't have that evidence there. But nonetheless, things do. Things might change. And part of it is standing in the unknown, fully secure in that this will work out. So I don't know about what it is that you feel, what it is that you want. I don't know any of that. So I don't even know who you are, right? But I do know that all of us have the same prompting within us from spirit that is telling us to be about the business for which you signed up for, what you came here for. So if you came here to be a healer, if you came here to be an entertainer, if you came here to be the voice of reason, if you came here to be a writer, if you came here to whatever it is that you came here to do, teach or to be a lover or to be an instructor or to be, I don't know, you could be the court jester, the comedian that brings, because all the joy that you feel in that instance is enough. Did somehow my stream go down? I don't know. It looks like something happened on my end and I don't know what. So, I don't know what or why. Um, that was weird. I wonder what happened. At any rate, it must be time for me to go. May I don't know, but whatever the case may be, yeah, it must be time for me to go. Um, so that is not that is not me currently. All right, my video has ended over there on Facebook. It's time for me to go. If you are watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, uh, ring the bell so you'll know when I'm coming on. I'm on here every morning, usually about 8:15 or so. I'm usually here for about an hour, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. So hope to see you back, and blessings to you. Have an amazing day. All right. Bye.